When you turn around each time, that view is getting more and more expansive every time. When you're really starting to become aware, it knows. Call it the yang to the yin, call it Satan, whatever. When you're on your right path, it knows. Now, it's not out to get you. It's just that you're beginning to gleam a little bit too brightly. And rightly so. It might be time to just sit back and enjoy the view. Okay? The things that are happening to me are not all about seeing entities or reading minds or blah blah blah. They're also just about having a greater awareness to what's going on. It's kind of like you can just see everything at once. It's not something you can control. It's not something that you can guide. But it's something that just happens. That's why it can be overwhelming. Because you do get the bad with the good. And it's hard to filter. Which is why I am beginning to believe that, yes, there is help. There is oversight. It will assist you on your path. It will show you something. But only if you need to see it. Only if you need to feel it. Only if you are ready. So it was early in the morning, the 21st of December, 2010. It was the night of the winter solstice. I mean, this was already a momentous night, astrologically speaking. But on top of that, as I'm sure you may be aware, that in the northern hemisphere, on this night of the winter solstice, for the first time in over 400 years, there would also be a lunar eclipse. I was lying in bed. I wanted to see this. It was just too much of a special event to just let go. Now, I wasn't intending on sleeping. The eclipse was going to be visual sometime around 2 a.m. It's too bad I had to work the next day, but I felt like I had to see it. I was determined. Then I don't remember falling asleep. I don't remember being awake. It's hard to explain. It's just, I remember being near my window in anticipation. I was looking up my 21st floor window over the cityscape in search of what I was waiting to see, the eclipse. But there was nothing there. It was just purplish night sky. Hazy, dormant, quiet. I did feel like there was something different though. It was like a sort of glaze was blanketing the ether. My mind's eye felt lucid. I almost felt like I was in the future, yet not quite caught up to the past. Was I dreaming? Was I awake? You know, even as I recall over the past few days, I can't figure it out. I mean, this was so absolutely visceral. I was in my room. Literally. That's why I'm tempted to say that this was my astral body, yet I don't want to say that definitively. Let's just say that it was an overall feeling that I've never felt before. It wasn't a dream. But it didn't feel like reality either. So I continued to look out. And still, there was nothing. I scanned left and right over the tops of the buildings. Looked as high as I could in the darkness. But nothing. The moon wasn't even there as it should have been at this time. Never mind the eclipse. Everything just felt so different. No moon, no shadow, no nothing. Just haze. It was so quiet though. It was so tranquil. I pressed my hands up against the glass. It felt cold. But then I remember sensing a low kind of humming. A vibration. Like something organic. But almost machine-like. It wasn't really that I could hear it. It was just that I was aware of a presence. Something large. Something warm, something it seemed to be so immense, but it was so subtle at the same time. It was calming. And slowly I turned my head left and up, and all I could feel was this humming. This beautiful sensation. Beautiful sensation. And now, this is where I know that I might lose some of you. I know. Because, just hold on. Seriously, I know some of you are not going to believe this. But it was real. I'm not making this up. I remember just thinking to myself, while I was eating lunch the next day in the food court, how can I even return back to normality after this? This is what it's just what happens when things start to happen as they've been happening. I can't believe that I experienced this. But the more I continue to realize how visceral it was, the more it just seems that weirder and weirder things keep budging their way into my own pathway. It's just becoming harder and harder to deny. And even trying to go back to the way that it was before, I don't have a choice. The good and the bad, both of them, they get to be so incredible. And so I looked up to the left. My eyes were wide open. And through my window, about 20 yards above me, was the moon. It was huge. And it was shimmering. It was wide as about 50 football fields. But then I remember having the overwhelming sensation that I must be dreaming. This couldn't be the actual moon. The moon tonight is supposed to be covered in Earth's shadow anyway. And I began to feel instantly tense. But then for some reason, I understood. I understood what was going on. The reason I didn't see a shadow was because I was on the other side. Just for me, it seemed on this night the moon had decided to show itself to me up close. And then I realized I was no longer in my room. I was moving in space far above, over mountains. I was gliding seamlessly. That humming was all around me, so subtle and consistent. What kind of ship was I on? I couldn't say exactly. It felt secure, yet it was moving at an incredible speed. I remember clutching for my video camera, grasping, attempting to capture. I wanted to trap this experience so desperately. And then voices calmly broke my internal calamity. I felt secure. I felt in communion with the vessel. This undeniably visceral trip. I was taken lovingly to see the moon up close. In its splendor, forgotten was the apparent accident of falling asleep. This was much better than anything I could have ever seen with a telescope. I was taken, undeniably taken. The moon allowed me to see the other side of itself. Who are they? What are they? Who took me? I don't know. How much time passed by? How much distance did I cover? I don't know, but it felt like a true gift. But then as I kept recalling my experience, it really started to make me question. It started to make me doubt the absolute majesty, the absolute beauty, the absolute loving beauty of this experience, which no words that I'm attempting to use can really truly convey. Is this the only way that we can experience such things in our short times here? Is our soul endless? Or is this all we have? This experience was incredible. But I don't want to detach. I don't want to detach myself from nature. Call it an astral travel, call it whatever. My physical body was moving. Maybe my consciousness is what was stationary, but I was gone. I was gone from where I once was to see this magnificent sight. When you're shown, you can't deny its immenseness and depth. But it's literally made me uneasy about leaving here when the time comes. What is me? Am I really ready to go? And really become part of the cosmos again? To be that which is absolutely everything at once? Or everything that is? Is that existence better than this one? How can you compare? This experience is one that I'll never forget. So reassuring. It leaves me with a true sense of humility. Profound gravity. This was not a dream. I'm not going to convince myself that it was. That's unconscious reaction. That reaction is a derivative of the cumulatively collected wasteland of repressed human thought. The controllers are keen to maintain that divide. Divide us from creation. Ingrain the notion within all of us that we are in fact separate and apart from creation. As we struggle to catch that slippery fish with our bare hands. That is our fight. Two sides warring. Two sides of the coin. That shining yellow coin. One side dark, the other side brilliant light. This game is what precludes us from truly seeing the moon.